Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are hybrid all this week and we didn't get to have art class. So I am going to do a video for everyone. So today what we're going to do, now I don't have an example to start because I thought I'd do this with you. Maybe I'll add the example at the beginning, maybe after I do it or something to that effect. But today what you're going to need is a pencil. Watercolors. Now, if you don't have a watercolor set, any kind of paint will do, or even crayons or markers or pastels, but watercolors kind of make it more fun. You're probably going to need a black Sharpie. If you don't have a black Sharpie, a black marker will do. And you're also going to need a paintbrush and some water, right? Now, also, one thing that you might need, if you're really good at circles, more power to you, but maybe walk around your house and find things that are circles. So maybe cups, rolls of tape, right? Even, now this one's obviously too small. This is the lid for a glue stick, but there's tons of circles around your house that you can use, and we're gonna use those to trace today because what we're gonna do is we're going to make a Christmas picture and we're gonna make it like a bunch of ornaments. I'm gonna show you some really cool techniques. But the first thing you're gonna do is find a circle and you're just gonna trace it. Right now, I'm using a pencil and I'm taking my time. And if you notice when I trace something, I keep my pencil straight up and down. I'm not turning it. When you turn your pencil to trace something, that's when you get a funky kind of shape. So I've got my first what? Circle. So now I'm gonna make sure that this one's empty. I'm gonna put another circle right next to it because I want these two ornaments to look like they're buddies and they're sitting side by side. See? Now here's the fun part. I want to make my ornaments look like they're stacked on each other. So watch, I can take this one and put it right there, but I don't want to draw inside my other ornaments. Just like that, right? And I even drew by accident, so I can erase that if you're drawing light enough. So now it looks like there's an ornament. I can even lie, maybe put a little bit. So it looks like there's an ornament behind it, right? I can put one over here. This is called overlapping. Anytime you draw, you want to try and add some overlapping because it makes it look more realistic. Look, see how I traced that circle? And it was sitting on top of this one, but I want my little ornament to be in front. So I didn't trace through it. You don't want any circles traced through or drawn through, right? So let's do another one here. See how my bottom of it is in those circles? Do I want to draw through that? No way, Jose. Just like that. So there's another ornament. Maybe, do I need another big one maybe? Maybe just kind of small, right? And if you draw through it just like I did, you just take your eraser like that. Look at all my ornaments. Oh, they look so good. All right, so I'm gonna stop right there, right? You can draw more ornaments. My paper's kind of small, so you could have a ton more ornaments. I want a pile. Now, what did you notice that I did? I did my ornaments kind of floating in the middle of the page, right? I didn't do them down at the bottom. You could do them down at the bottom, but watch, I'm gonna make mine look like it's sitting on a table, so I'm gonna draw a line right in the middle, off to that side. Whoops, and that one's kind of crooked, isn't it? Gotta erase that, straighten it back up. Some of you, I know, like to use rulers, so you could use a ruler for that if you wanted to. So see, now it looks like they're sitting on the table, and we'll deal with the table here in a minute. But the one thing ornaments have are these little toppers, right? And they're just little rectangles. And some of my ornaments are kind of rolled to one side, so I don't want all my toppers to be at the same place. Maybe some are sitting straight up and down, right? Maybe some have rolled to the side. I think this guy's way over here. So see how they're starting to look more like ornaments. Now, one last thing with our pencil, we're gonna do that shing, a little reflective mark. So you need to decide, are you gonna put all the reflective marks on the right side, or are you gonna do all the reflective marks on the left side? So I'm gonna do the right side, and I'm gonna draw a really funky triangle, a carrot nose maybe, right? And I'm gonna do this on all of my ornaments, kind of up high, Okay, some might be big, some might be small, but I want and some of you might not even see the end, right? I think this guy's right here. Ooh, he's kind of big. I didn't mean to make him that big. Just like that. That's gonna make him look way more realistic, right? Now, if you wanted to, you could even add some garland. I might do some Christmas tree. And you know what? I'm just gonna lightly put it in there because I don't know what I'm gonna do with that just quite yet. So I have the idea that it's there, right? And then maybe the hooks. You don't have to draw the hooks, right? I'm gonna add them in there. I can always erase it if I don't like it, right? So I'm gonna add in my hooks. So now I have a pile of ornaments sitting on lovely Christmas branches, right? Just like that, right? Now, I'm going to take my Sharpie and I am going to outline my ornaments. Just like that. And I'm going to outline some of them, and then the other ones I'm not going to outline, so that maybe we get a better idea of what it looks like outlined and what it doesn't. Some of you might not want to outline, right? And I'm not going to outline my tree branches just quite yet. I'm going to outline those 3 and then leave the other 3 empty, or not empty, what would you say? Not outlined, and see if I like them not outlined or not. Okay. So now let's start with our watercolor. Now, we all know watercolor, in my opinion, personally, is one of the hardest things to paint because you have to get it just right. So you're going to pick your color, and remember, your watercolors, you have to wake them up. They've been sleeping, right? They're not going to work unless you wake them up. So you have to take your water, put water in it, stir it up a little bit, and say, wake up, wake up, wake up. And the good thing with watercolors is watercolor's meant to be light. It's not meant to be dark. Always start over on one side, right? And I like my watercolors to be light. You can always go darker. You can never go lighter. So start super light usually. I'm gonna go ahead and paint right over my my garland, my trees, and see if that's the way to go. Now, I went too dark there, so I'm gonna, right? And then on the side where, the other side, I'm gonna go a little darker, add a little bit more. Okay. And then leave that side really light. Maybe even add some water. If you add a little bit of water, sometimes it makes them lighter. So there's one ornament, right? So now let's go to the other one. Should we do him doing blue? Let's do him blue. So you gotta wake up your watercolors. See how light the blue is? And you might go, oh, I don't have enough paint. You can always go back in and dab it in there. Right? See how I keep going into my water? And I did that one so light, I just did water. I love the way watercolor looks when it bleeds and it spreads. And you can always kind of go back in. I like to get lots of paint on my brush and then just dab it in the water. And it does these really cool kind of explosions, right? Ooh. Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good, guys. I'm really kind of liking this. Now, maybe we don't even need the reflective marks. Maybe you don't like your reflective marks. You don't need them. That's up to you. Now, I think my kind of brush that I'm using is a little big. So if you have a smaller brush, you might need it, because now I'm getting into some areas that I need to be really careful with and delicate. So let's try out the ones that aren't outlined and see if we like that whole thought process better. So I'm gonna do this one without outlining it. The bigger ones are easier. I think the trickiest part with this project is trying not to get your colors to bleed into the others. So try and avoid the other colors if they're wet, so that you don't get your purples and your greens to get mixed up, or your blues. See how my blue, oh, I don't know if you can see that, my blue's bleeding into my purple. So you might wait until certain ornaments are dry so that doesn't happen. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you like it better unoutlined or outlined? That's a difficult one. I'm gonna go back to my red here. Ooh, and look how dark that red is. So I know for a fact I'm not gonna need any more paint because that is so dark. So I'm gonna even wash out my paint. And now I'm just gonna work with water. And the best thing with the Sharpies, if you are gonna outline, the Sharpies are waterproof, right? So you can paint right over the Sharpies and they won't bleed and run. Now, if you use a black marker, like a Crayola marker, those will run. They'll bleed with the water, especially the washable ones. So just heads up on that. I don't know. I don't know which one I like. If I like them both. What color should we do here? Maybe another purple, yeah. So I'm gonna go dark because I kind of like the thought of the dark. Look how dark that is, guys. If you go dark, just remember, you only do the dark on one side, the side that it does not have the triangle, the carrot nose, right? So now I'm gonna wash out my brush and then just paint the rest of it with water. And that water and that paint will blur together and make it look like you really know what you're doing, right? Oh, see my red mixy in there again. All right. Ooh, it's looking good. I just don't know how I feel about this, guys. So you can see we have the ones with the Sharpie outlined, the ones without. I really leave that up to you. You could do it without and go back in with the Sharpie later. No Sharpie at all, maybe. You know, you could even go in if you didn't like Sharpie and you want it to be way more artistic. You can go back in with a tiny brush and almost add some darkness, get it to outline itself with that paint. So see what that did? That really made it pop, right? So if that's what you're going for, you want something a bit more intense, you can totally do that. So it's really up to you. Now when it comes to these guys, I would kind of like to use oil pastel or maybe a mixy of both. What if we did, you know, like just a couple little streaks? And I like my yellows and my greens to be friends. Makes it more interesting. Now, if you noticed, I avoided going through my ornaments, right? Because red and green look really good side by side as Christmas colors, but I promise you, when they're mixed together, they make the ugliest duty color ever. So let me go get my oil pastels and see what they do. I'll be right back. All right, so I got some oil pastels, and I probably should have used them before. You could use crayons. I kind of like the different texture of the oil pastels with this. I think it makes it look a little bit more interesting, right? If you wanted to do it all watercolor, more power to you, man. You don't have to listen to me, right? That is the best part about art, is just kind of exploring different types of materials, things that work well together and things that don't work well together, right? Sometimes you're not in an oil pastel mood. Sometimes you are. Sometimes you're in a marker mood. Sometimes you're in a crayon mood. I'm going to grab a little bit of brown. I'm kind of scared, but maybe just to add a little bit of depth. And I just did the stems That's not too shabby. Not too shabby, right? So just kind of play with this, guys. If you really think about this, you can see that paper's too wet and it's not liking anything that I do. But if you think about this, all we did were circles, right? We traced circles and we colored them in. And then once we had the circles traced, we actually added rectangles and candy canes. So if you break it down, this is a pretty simple, easy project, right? You can add the table. I don't know what I would color the table. If you have a marker or a crayon or an oil pastel or something, or paint that is silver or gold, ooh, you could go the extra mile, right? And make these little caps. I have silver oil pastels. It looks gray on the camera, I think, but we could totally go in and add the silver caps, right? And mine are kind of messy back in there. You could outline them, or maybe you wanted a softer look. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, totally different look. Isn't that amazing? That the oil pastel without outlining gives you this look. The Sharpie outlining gives you this look. So it really depends on what kind of look you want. If you want a quieter, softer look, I wouldn't use a Sharpie. If you want a bolder look, I would totally use a Sharpie. You can use crayon or oil pastel or chalk on the bottom. I don't know. You could add, I'm kind of concerned about this. You could add a shadow. Let's see if I can get a brown going. I don't want to go too dark. There we go. So maybe, and you know, with oil pastel, you can paint around the edges and it won't really mess anything up, because oil and water don't like each other, right? And they don't mix. So that's the most fun with watercolors and oil pastels, is you don't ever want to paint directly over it and swoosh over it, but you can get right up to those edges like that, do a little painting over, and it looks like you really got in there, but you didn't, right? So the brown, I don't see a problem with the brown. The brown's not bothering me, but maybe you have a prettier tablecloth that you want to use or something like that. You could put them in the snow. That would be nice, right? All right. So you could do anything you want to with the background, but guys, experiment with this. This is super simple. Circles, rectangles, candy canes, done, right? So enjoy your hybrid week, and I'll see you guys next week, and we'll finish up our art projects. See you later. Bye.